So number 6. Somebody help me out and read off the numbers to me, so I don't have to keep trying to look back at the book. 1,700 and what? Nobody can help me out. It's not even 1,700. That's why you guys should be reading it to me. $1,178.50. What do we do with that one and the rest of them? 158, 159. So we add all those. Somebody add all those for us.
Number 6 or 7.
Do what? Number 6, I think. Am I getting the wrong one?
7, yeah. I'll read it to you.
Thank you. Hold on one second. Somebody tell me when I'm looking at the wrong thing. I need to start wearing my glasses, I guess.
We're doing number 7?
Yeah.
Okay. 1,789.5.
We're on number 6.
You're on number 7 also.
Yeah, we're doing number 6.
I asked you if we're doing number 6.
We
You said yes, so I was reading it to you. You said
We were doing number 6. I wrote number 7 because we were talking about.
Okay. So 1,000.
We're on problem number 6. Problem number 6. All right.
1,178.50.
All right.
1,091.80. And then 1,207.70. 1,187.80. 1,245.90.
1,245.90.
Yeah.
Thank you. If I add all those up for us. I start taking a grade for calculators too, aren't
I'm so confused. What number are we doing?
I? Number 6. You didn't hear me just scream?
I did, but like,
This is telling me that we can't have this. We're going to have a CD chart.
what does it say?
Anybody get something? Here's the answer. Just tell me that those added up. 5,911.7. Now we need what on the end of this? Anybody else get that number? Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah.
Now, is that our answer? That's one of the answers because the way they got it set up, right? That's the total. But then we want to find the monthly expenditure, and a lot of what we do today is going to be this same thing. You want to find how much should you budget per month for that certain item. So what do? How many months were we adding up here? So what should we do with this answer that we got here? Divide by 5. So divide that by 5. 1,182.34.
Yeah.
Anybody else get that? So whatever this item is, I don't think they told us, did they? What they were. Whatever that item is, we should budget if you're making out a budget, you should probably budget about $1,200 a month for that certain thing. Next question.
You want restart number 7 now?
You want to do 7?
Yeah.
Somebody help me out again, read the numbers so we don't get into that same.
All added up.
Do what?
I already have them.
You got mine all add up? What do they add up to?
8,802.34.
8,802.34.
Yep.
And we're gonna do what with that?
Divide that by 5.
Divided by 5. So what's that give us?
1760.47.
1760.47.
Yeah.
So whatever that item is, we should budget about $1,800 a month for that item. Not sure what these people have, but I got 2 items here. One that I got to budget about $1,200 for, and one I got to budget about $1,700 for. I'm out of money in those 2 items as far as my check goes. Now Levi, when he gets out of here, he's going to be making a whole lot more than that per month, but it's Ebersole. He's broke after those 2, so.
Zero equals zero.
Other questions? Everybody understands all that? Again, the stuff that we're going to cover today, going in more into the budgeting stuff. When you are budgeting something, you're probably not, just because this comes out $1,760.47, you're not going to budget that exact amount for an item. You budget something like $1,700 or $1,800, round it off at one of those, but you got to make sure that when you're rounding stuff off, you're not always rounding something up. Say, oh, I'm budgeting $1,800 and I'm budgeting $1,200, because after 2 or 3 of them, you're probably going to be over your capacity as far as your money goes. All right, so some of these things, like if this was Ebersole and he had these two items, he'd have to figure out something and say, okay, I can't budget $1,200 a month for this. Maybe this is a car payment. Who knows? Car payments should be all the same every month, but if it was a car payment, I can't pay $1,100 a month for a car. That's just impossible. When me and my wife got married, we set a limit, which doesn't work real well now because we've been married for 20-some years. But we were never, ever going to make a car payment more than $300 per month. That was, no matter what. If we go in and we buy a car and they say it's going to be $305 a month, then we walked out and we didn't buy that car because we knew what our limit was. All right, now, I think the last car that we just bought, she bought her a car, and I think the payment ended up being like $309 a month. But after 20-some years, you got to expect that it probably went up a little bit. But I was still hesitant to do that. But she wanted it, which now she doesn't even like the car. That bothers me. And some of you will figure out when somebody else doesn't like the car, guess who gets to drive it?
Do you like the car?
No. I didn't never want the car. The only good thing that I have going in my favor is my van is old and junky, so nobody wants to drive it. So she's got to make a choice, either drive that car that she picked or drive my junk van where the engine light comes on all the time. And the automatic sliding doors and stuff open up just at random. So she doesn't want to drive that ever, so she drives the car that she picked even though she doesn't like it now. She tried to pawn it off on my son that's in college and trade him cars, but he didn't like it either, so. It's a Jeep Cherokee, Grand Cherokee.
Like a new one?
Fairly new, 2015, 2016. It's a nice car, I don't like Jeeps. Again, we should be able to get done with this pretty quickly today. You should be able to get the assignment done while you're in here. If you want, we can work problems together on the assignment, or you can work them by yourself. Tyler, you're not gonna make me take that, are you?
I hope not.
No shot.
All right, monthly budgets. Monthly budgets. When you're doing monthly budgets, you have a couple kind of expenses. You have, or actually three kinds. You have fixed expenses. All right, those are things that are the same every month. Your mortgage, rent, car payment, maybe like house insurance or home insurance, life insurance, things that stay the same every month. If you go through Dark Rule or DP&L, you could set up level billing, and then that payment would be the same every month. So those are fixed. They're the same. They don't change. So from one month you don't pay $700 in for your rent, and then the next month you pay $800. It doesn't change. It stays the same each month. Those are fixed expenses. Annual expenses, stuff like car insurance, that's an annual expense. And this is something that especially you guys at your age got to really watch out for. And I have to watch out for it. Every time I see a letter come in the mail and it says auto owner's insurance, I go out to the barn and I stay out there all night. Because when my wife opens it up, she's in a bad mood for the next couple of days. All right? And I tried to tell her, let's budget some money, let's take a few, all we need to do is take $50 or so and set it back every time I get paid, and then you could pay that all at once. With car insurance, the way it works, let's say my car insurance is, for me, maybe it's $1,000 a year. Let's just to make a round number. If I pay them with one payment, it costs me $1,000. If I pay them like most of you probably pay them, you probably pay them once a month or once every 3 months, quarterly or monthly. If you pay it that way, it adds up to a whole lot more. All right, so if I pay it once a month, then they charge me like $120 per month. Well, if I take, somebody help me out with the calculator, if I take 120 times 12, what's that give me?
1,440.
So now all of a sudden, instead of my insurance costing me $1,000 for the year, it cost me $1,440 for the year. So they charged me $440 for the convenience of paying it once a month and not all as one lump sum. And I'll guarantee they do the same thing to you. Most of you, if you have car insurance, you probably pay it monthly because you can't pay it any other way, because your insurance is probably pretty high. All right? So you pay it monthly and they charge you extra money. If you could pay that all as one lump sum at the start of the year, it would be a whole lot cheaper. And I'm not exaggerating at all. This is why my wife gets so mad, because she knows that we can't afford to pay it all at once. That's a lot more than $1,000, because I got like 7 cars on my insurance policy because all of my kids and everything else. But we can't afford to pay it all at once. So it ends up that we end up paying the insurance company about $500 extra per year for the convenience of paying it quarterly or monthly. We usually pay it quarterly. So that's an annual expense that you have to watch out for. Other annual expenses, stuff like life insurance, same idea. Life insurance, they'll let you pay monthly, but if you can pay it all as one lump sum, it's cheaper. Real estate taxes. When you pay real estate tax to the county, if you could pay it all as one lump sum, it's easier. If you pay it separately, they charge you a little bit extra. Couple of formulas here. First, you might want to write this one first. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But you need this one because it goes in right there. So your monthly share of an annual expense plus the monthly fixed expenses plus the monthly living expenses all give you your total monthly expenses. Even if you do pay the car insurance or whatever that annual expense is all at once, even if you do pay it that way, then it's still, you got to still average it into your monthly budgeting, because you got to save up that money to get to that point. Adam, any idea on the timeline? No? They didn't say nothing to you? Nobody said anything to you? If you look at this chart that I handed out, this again is just for your benefit. This is a good chart that I found online. It's got different things here. If I look down through it, in the left column, monthly living expenses. Those are things that could change throughout the month. Food, groceries, electricity, heating, phone, internet, cable, water. All those are things that are variable. They could change from one month to the next. Transportation, gas, parking, tolls, maintenance, so on and so on. Those are things that change from one month to the next. When you do maintenance on a car, it's not the same every month, all right? Car breaks down this month, maybe next month it doesn't break down. Personal spending, clothing, credit cards, any gifts, daily spending, entertainment. You don't do the same thing every month. Maybe some of you do. I don't know. Maybe every third Tuesday of the month you go to the movies or something. Who knows? Eating out, that's going to change. So those are all stuff on the left side. It's all stuff that's different every month. And they give you a spot down at the bottom to total all that up. Then on the right-hand column, monthly fixed expenses, things that are fixed like your rent, car loan, maybe savings. If you know that you're gonna put $100 away every month, then that's a fixed amount. Annual expenses, stuff like life insurance, home insurance, car insurance, property taxes, car registration and fees and tags. So when you go to buy your license plate for your car, any charity, back to the car registration and tags. Because we live most of you live right here on the border of Indiana and Ohio. What's different from Indiana to Ohio as far as registering a car? When you bought your license plate for your car this past year, how much did it cost you in Ohio? Anybody know?
I think mine was like
$100? I didn't think they were quite that much, but
Like 60. They're $45.
I think they're a little more
Mine
than
was
45
for-
now.
That's how much I paid for mine just a couple weeks ago.
Bro, I thought they were like 60 now. I thought they went up to 60 like a year ago.
Can't
or
you
so.
buy like 6 months to a year to like a couple of years?
I don't know if they let you do that now or not. They might.
I'm pretty sure they do, because that's what I had to choose from when I went.
They may let you do extra time now or something.
You can
just
buy
to
it.
get more money.
You can buy up to 2 years,
2 years.
up to your, or on your birthday.
Maybe two, because I don't ever go into the office. Maybe if you go in there, it might be cheaper than the mail thing now, because they like
Mail
mail.
thing.
Yeah, you can order them through the mail.
That's what Indiana does, mail thing. You can't walk in there and get a title, and they mail the title to you.
And what else is different about Indiana?
When you get Indiana tags, they don't come with a sticker for the first year. It's just a plain tag, and then when the tag expires, you buy a sticker and put on that tag.
But what else is different about it as far as the cost? More expensive, all right? What happens here in Ohio, when you buy an automobile, you pay taxes on, when you buy it, you pay taxes at that point. In Indiana, when you buy your tags, they tax you on the value of your automobile. So, like whatever, $45, if we pay $45 for our tags here in Ohio, in Indiana, if I take my van over there and I move to Indiana and I get tags from Indiana, it goes off the the value of my van. That's how much I pay for the tags. All right? So, you see a lot of people, I know that when I worked at the convenience store, I would see guys come in all the time, and they would have on like Florida tags and Tennessee tags, and they had lived there for 15 years. I said, why in the world do you still have Florida tags on your, and they tell me, because they're cheaper. So they would just continue to lie to the local government and say that they still lived in Florida, and get the tags sent to them and put them on their car because they were cheaper than buying them in Indiana or Ohio.
This past weekend, we went down to Florida, and I have a boss that lives down there. He drives a BMW down there, and he goes through insurance up here in Indiana, even though he lives in Florida, because it's $37 up here to insure it, and it's about $200 to insure it down there.
So there's lots of things with that in Florida. Again, we talked about it. Florida doesn't have tax. They don't have income tax. So a lot of professional sports people buy a house in Florida or Texas or somewhere and say that they live there just to get out of paying the taxes on all those millions of dollars that they make. So, if you move to Indiana, just know, and the only reason I go over this is because we live so close to the line right here. If you happen to get an apartment in Indiana and that's where you live and you have to get your tags through there, if your car's a piece of crap, it's probably not a big deal. Right? If I take my van over there and it's worth $1,000, they charge me a certain percentage for my tags on that. But they charge me that every year. Right? you move over there and you live in some little, you moved over there because you wanted to live in some little cheap apartment because you bought yourself a brand new Lamborghini or something, and you can't afford the apartment because you're spending too much on your car. Well, know that when you go to buy your tags for that in Indiana, they're gonna charge you a whole bunch of money. All right? Something like my wife's Jeep, the tags for that will probably be $200 or $300-400 because it's worth more. They go by whatever the value of that certain vehicle is. I think there's some way you can argue it, but you know, if you buy like let's say my wife's Jeep was a piece of junk and it was wrecked and everything else, but the blue book value of it says it's this certain thing, there might be some way you can argue what they put as the price of it, but I'm not sure about that because I never lived in Indiana to see. So Indiana charges you continual on your vehicle. This monthly sheet, that's what we're going over. If you look on down here, it's got your total for your fixed. Total for your fixed is right here. Your total for your annual is right here. Then it says per month. So what you do is divide by 12. That's what that formula told you. And then we could add up these three totals to get how much we need to budget each month. And that's what it does right here. It shows you it's got these, your net income, that's how much you make, your living expenses per month, your fixed expenses per month, your annual expenses per month. You total all those up, and that's how much you need to make per month to cover all that. The assignment's on page 160. If you get this, open up your books and stuff, we'll do a couple of these together. Then you can decide if we want to go on and continue to do them together or if you want to do them by yourself. How about your calculator so you can help us as we go through these? On page 160, number one says calculate the monthly share of annual expenses and find the total monthly expenses. Check your answers in the back of the book. We don't need to do that because we're going to check our answers together here. So all we're doing on this one, on number one, these first two are pretty easy. All you're doing is taking those two numbers, or those three numbers, and add them all together. Do we need to write that down? Can somebody just add them together for us?
56.7.
Does everybody agree with that? 5,670? Yes, no, maybe? Anybody else get that answer?
Yeah.
Number two. That's a 2. Oh, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Jeez, I gotta read the problem. They want the monthly expenses. What's that first one say? Annual. Wes, you could have helped me out, told me that before. So the first one, for the annual stuff, we gotta do what? Divide by 12. So we take 4,200 divided by 12. I thought that seemed too easy. What's 4,200 divided by 12?
472.5.
472.5?
Yeah.
Then we add that to the other ones. 670 and 800, is that right? My fault. What's that give us? $1942.50.
Yeah.
Does that seem right? Anybody else get that? Help me out, you guys read the problems because I can't see. My eyes are getting worse and I can't see the words.
Annual,
So this one's same idea, right?
yeah.
So somebody help me out.
8,000.
Divided by 12, what do you get?
Where did you get the one for the first one? That's not what I got.
Yeah.
That's not what you got? For what? For this?
Yeah,
I didn't.
It should be.
We're not gonna let Alex answer anymore? No, I'm just kidding, Alex. Alex, I'm just kidding, don't put that calculator away, I'll be mad at you. So should be 350? How many times are we gonna erase number 1? 4, so one more after this. So 350 plus 670 plus 800, what's that give us?
1,820.
1,820? Are we good with this answer now?
Oh.
So where'd you get 300?
I don't know, they divided this and said they got 350.
Yeah.
So what's 4,200 divided by 12?
Oh, I didn't do 4,200. I did the total
350.
amount.
Oh, I see what you said, all right. So yeah, the only one that you have to divide by 12 is the one that's the annual expenses, right?
Yeah.
All the others are monthly expenses, so we just do those. So let's start over here and let's do number 2 and let's do it right. The annual expense this time is how much? 3,000 what?
494.
0.04?
Yeah.
So this is annual, so we don't want it annual, we want it per month. So we have to divide it by 12. Somebody do that for us. Maybe I should let you guys do these on your own. Matt was dozing off and still agreeing with me. What's that give you?
291.17.
Anybody else get that?
Yeah.
So this is how much it costs monthly for those annual things, like your home insurance, your auto insurance, any of those things that get all added in together. Then we're going to take that and we're going to add it to the other monthly expenses, your living expense and your fixed expenses. What are the living expenses this time?
475 for 75.
And the fixed expenses?
679.965.
And we're going to add all those up. What's that give us? 1,446.
Yeah.
At 2,000. Block number.
Point 57. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Anybody else get that? Yes, no, maybe? Is that what we're going with? Flip way over to page 163. That's where number 3 is. 163.
Do we have to divide the annual expenses by 12?
Yeah, if it's annual, you need to divide them by 12. So on problem 3, how much are the Penders' total monthly expenses? So they want their total monthly expenses.
Living expenses.
living, thank you. Total monthly living expenses. So we're gonna look at their chart over there. I'm guessing that chart right there, figure 3.3 is the one we're looking at, right?
Yeah.
Levi, I hope you can see all that, because I can't see any of that. That's what happens when you have young eyes compared to mine. Where are we gonna find their living expenses at? It's on the left side, right? So what do we gotta do with all those numbers on the left side? So that's what we're gonna do. Everything on the left over there, that whole column, we're gonna add all of those up.
1,161.50.
Anybody else get that?
Maybe.
Yeah.
1,100 and what'd you say?
61.5.
61.50. Are we in agreement with that? I don't know if that's right or not. I'm hoping that some of you add them up.
Is that right? Is that right?
No,
It's not right?
Simon was just kidding.
Hey. Yeah.
You want me to read off the numbers so you can punch them into the calculator and see? Yes, no, maybe? No? It's right? All right.
Yeah. Wait, so we're adding all the ones
All the ones on the in the left side over there.
all the way down?
Yep.
Okay, I thought it was just in that column, like it's in the to the annual expenses. Okay, yeah.
Number 4. What are the total of their monthly fixed expenses? Where are you going to find their monthly fixed expenses?
At the top right.
Top right. And it's just where it says monthly fixed down to don't go past the annual expenses. So how many numbers are there that we have to add together? Just 4 of them.
1,000.
1,000 even?
Yeah.
Number 5, what is the total of their annual expenses? Where are we going to find that?
Under
You look at annual expenses, you see where in blue it says annual expenses. How many things do they have under annual? 4. So add up those 4 under annual expenses.
so man, if it's annual, just divide them.
And not yet.
Not yet.
They're not asking us to do that yet. They're just 1742. I'm guessing number 6 is going to ask us to do that next step. What must they set aside each month for their annual expenses? Now, what do we do with that number? Now we take that number and we divide it by 12.
1,004. Oh wait, no, 145.16.
$145. Point what?
Two.
Point 16. Anybody else get that? $145.16.
Yeah.
Number 7. What are their total monthly expenses? How are we going to find that? Total monthly expenses. Alec, you can't see, but you can see that game pretty well. Add all the monthly expenses together. Where do we find those monthly expenses? That one, and that one. We add those 3 together. You add their living expenses, their fixed expenses, and their monthly expenses.
2,306.
$2,306. Point what?
66.
Anybody else get that?
Yeah.
So how much do they need to budget each month to pay off all their expenses?
2,000.
Something around there. Number 8, do the penders live within their monthly net income? I don't know, how are we gonna figure that out?
What about balance sheet?
What's that say?
Net income, total budget is 2,600.
So their net income is
2,600.
$2,600. This is how much they make per month. How can we tell if they live within their monthly income? What should be true about your monthly income in relationship to this, which is your expenses?
Should add that together.
It should be more
All right, this should be lower or the same, right? You probably don't want it to be the same because things always come up. And is it lower?
Yes.
So do they live within their?
Yeah.
Yes. They got about $300. That's probably a little closer than you want to, because you never know what's going to happen. Number 10.
We don't have to do number 10.
Oh, we don't have to do number 10.
11.
We're doing number 9.
No, we just
Oh,
did
oh, I thought. Okay,
Come on, Avery.
Come on.
Number 11. What percent of the pender's total monthly net income are the monthly living expenses and fixed expenses? What is the monthly share of annual expenses? Total your 3% and analyze the result. So we want to know what percentage. Sorry, somebody have all these written down somewhere because we're going to need some of these numbers. I want to erase all this. Yeah.
Well, you had 9 as 8.
Oh, did I have 9 as 8?
Yeah, everything without a bullet
Ah. Oh, we didn't do 9, did we?
there. Yeah, 8.
So 8 was supposed to be what?
8 was the independence level.
And I skipped 9. You guys did tell me that, didn't you? I didn't listen. What individual expenses would the penders find difficult to cut back? So number 9. Looking at their expenses, I just read the wrong one because again I can't see the numbers. Yeah, Alex was right. He told me. He said it.
Wait, does that mean all?
I didn't understand what he was saying. Looking at their expenses, what would you find trouble cutting?
Fixed expenses.
Maybe, like what? Just give me exact, look into the chart there.
Rent, mortgage.
Rent, mortgage. You're probably not gonna be able to go to whoever you rent off of or the bank that you pay the mortgage to and say, hey, I'm a little short, so I wanna make my mortgage $700 instead of $800. They're probably gonna say, yeah, you're full of crap. What else? Life insurance. Oops, life insurance. What else? What are things that they could cut back? Entertainment, food, eating out, stuff like that, right? Cable TV.
Well, they spent a lot.
AJ, I'm gonna take that away from you, man. I don't wanna see any more phones, all right? I'm done with phones for the year. So keep the phones put away. I said that at the start and I've been nice, but now I'm done.
We say basically everything.
Oh, dining out was $140.
So they could cut back on that probably. All right, so those are things, you gotta realize that. You gotta realize what you can and what you can't cut back on. Now can we go on to number 11? What percent of the pender's total monthly net income are monthly living expenses? To find our percentage, we gotta do this. We're gonna divide living expenses over their total. And then we're going to, let's see, what are the other ones? You got living, then you got fixed expenses over the total. Then you got your annual expenses over the total. And each one of those is going to give us a decimal, but we're going to change them to a percentage. What were their living expenses for the month?
1,820.
1,800 and what? 20. What were their total expenses for the month?
2,306.67.
That's a 2. 2,306.67. Is that right?
Yeah.
Somebody divide that for us. It's going to give you a decimal answer.
The top number's not right.
Yeah, no.
Top number's not right.
Is it 161?
It's 1,161.5.
1,161.50.
I didn't. Third strikeout.
No, that's confusing me.
The living expenses. That was the first one that we added up, right?
Yeah.
So that's when you added up that whole column over there. That was the answer to number 3. Number 3. Divide that. What's it give us?
About 50%.
So 0.50, which is about 50%. So they spend about 50% of their money on their living expenses. Stuff like groceries and entertainment and everything else. Fixed expenses. Which answer was the fixed expenses answer up there?
4.
Number 4. So what was the answer number 4?
1,000.
$1,000 even.
Yeah.
We're going to divide that by the total. What's that give us?
43%.
Say it again.
43.
43%. Anybody else get that? 0.43? Something close to that? Ignore those stray marks going up through there. Now the annual. The annual was how much for the year, but then we had to divide that by 12. So we just want the number for the annual for the monthly. So it was like 145 or something, wasn't it?
145.60.
145.60. And we're going to divide that by their total.
16.
Oh, 16.
Yeah, I think so.
We're going to divide that. Oops, that's a 7. It's ugly. So 145.16 divided by 2,306.67. What's that give us?
It's about 6%.
So about 0.06, which is 6%. They said to do what with all these?
Add them all up.
Add them all up, what do you get?
99.
What do you think it should total up to? Should total up to 100. Now, do we actually want it to total up to 100? No, because if it totals up to 100, then that means we're not giving ourselves any leeway, no play in there. So 99% gives us a little bit, not much, but a little bit of play. It'd probably be better if this percentage was lower. You know, if we were at like 90% and we had an extra 10% to play with, then we'd be a little better off in case something stupid happens, like your hot water heater goes out in your house, your furnace goes out in your house, your blow a tire. You blow a tire now, in some of your cars it might not matter. If I'm doing my wife's Jeep and she blows a tire, what do I have to do? Are you gonna go out and buy one tire? If it's my van, I'm gonna buy one tire. If it's her Jeep, I'm not gonna buy one tire, I'm gonna have to buy 4, so that they're all the same. Alright? So, gotta be able to budget stuff, know what fixed expenses are, know what living expenses are, know what annual expenses are.